Iriga City is a small city in South Luzon of the Philippines. During my first term as Chief Local Executive, our internal revenue allotment was only 103 million pesos. Local revenue was 12 million, and our asset was only 200 million pesos. We're landlocked, bypassed due to the diversion road that connects two highly urbanized cities, namely Naga and Legazpi City. We have 6 natural disasters: flooding, landslide, erosion, earthquake, eruptions, and typhoon. Now, here's the question. How can we make the city progressive and resilient with all the impediments and hindrances? My journey as a city mayor of Iriga City starts with a single step, and I'm doing my best to put our city in the map. In 2006, 2 subsequent typhoons came to damage our city, Milenio and Riming. Flooding occurred up to 2.3 meters at the center of the Central Business District. A soil mass movement happened along the middle gully of Mount Iriga, created a dam of mud with its debris flowing through the built-up area of the city. We were all shocked and devastated. Our housing project in partnership with Gawad Kalinga, they were totally destroyed. By February 2010, at the onset of El Nino, wildfire occurred at the eastern part of Mount Iriga and damaged 700 hectares. And now, COVID, the most strenuous, tough, and uphill battle, which has affected day-to-day life and is slowing down the global economy. So this is what LGU Iriga City did to address the COVID-19 pandemic. The LGU's immediate action was the activation of the Emergency Operations Center and the Incident Command System pursuant to the Philippine Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Act of 2010. Continuous reorganization, monitoring, and assessment are being done to ensure the sustainable, effective, and efficient response to the needs arising. It has been a 24/7 monitoring and standby for any possible cases within Iriga. Likewise, the Iriga City Task Force COVID-19 Incident Management Team was created to promote awareness and preventive measures against COVID-19. Regular press conference by the IMT, Bandilyo, and postings on social media platforms and official websites. There were encouraging responses. Madaming negosyante at mga miyembro ng private sector ang namigay ng face mask, namahagi ng supply ng pagkain para sa mga frontline services providers. Kitang-kita mo ang bayanihan sa panahon ng kahirapan. Bumuhos din ang goods donations and other commodities for relief assistance. The city government has procured relief goods as part of its efforts to aid Irigeños. The relief goods were delivered by DSWD and volunteers in every home with consideration of the minimum health protocols. Door-to-door ang distribution. The LGU was driven to set up checkpoints along its boundaries. Those wanting entry to the city of Iriga should present their documents. As soon as GCQ was declared, our quarantine facilities is already fully functional. There were 8 quarantine isolation facilities with 128-bed capacity. Accessibility of basic commodities is a major dilemma among the Irigeños. The creation of Veggies on Wheels project, tinulungan po namin ang aming mga magsasaka na kumita, mapanatili ang kanilang hanap buhay sa pamamagitan ng pagbili ng kanilang mga produkto at farm gate price. Last year, Typhoon Tisoy, it damages all the crops here in Iriga City. So we had the initiative to meet all the farmers, and we encourage them to plant more vegetables and plant more corn and rice. And it just so happened after 3 months, nag-ECQ na po tayo, and we were so glad that the food that our farmers produced are sufficient enough to meet the demands of the constituents. The City Agriculture Office facilities pick up the assorted vegetables from the farmers and distributes the products to the 36 barangays of the city for selling in their barangay satellite market. At dahil napapanahon, the Vegetable on Wheels evolved into a rolling store where all commodities are available except medicines. Namahagi kami ng mga libreng vegetable seedlings para hikayatin ang mga Irigeños na magtanim ng gulay to be self-sufficient.
Nagpapasalamat po kami kay Mayora dahil po sa supportive niya po sa mga farmers dahil po tinawan at tulos niya kaming mga bini para makapagtanom na naman ulit. Sana po dahil naman mag-abot digdi sa to ang mga kalamidad. Kada ko lang tabang po ini po sa mo, ma'am.
And to elevate it a little further, the Saudan sa Barangay or Satellite Market was implemented in partnership with the vendors who lived in the barangays. Di na nila kailangan ibiyahe ang kanilang mga produkto patungo sa palengke, sa halip, ipagbibili na lamang ito sa kanilang lugar.
Ang mga paraoma po, bayani kita sa panahon ng pandemya. Ini po ay nagiging kusog para po magkaigwa po kita food sufficiency po.
During the MGCQ period, the LGU Public Information Office designed quarantine passes with quick response QR codes, which were given to the essential and non-essential workers for ease of transport. The first contact tracing app in Bicol was instituted by LGU. Tinawag namin itong iContact. They can use the app to chat with a physician regarding their health concern. Medical help is just a chat away.
Gumawa tayo ng paraan kung paano yung mapapabilis yung contact tracing natin kasi sobrang bagal kasi manual.
Ngayon po, bumababa na po yung, pinana-flatten na po natin yung curve. Sana po, wala na po talagang new cases. Kasi po, madami pong mga dumadating na tulong from iba-ibang agencies.
Iriga City has 2,000 registered tricycle operators. Because of the declaration of the enhanced community quarantine in Luzon, mass transportation has been suspended, thereby affected their source of income. The city launched the TODA Rescue Project. The Tricycle Operators and Drivers Association of the 36 barangays in the city were tapped as partners to man the checkpoints along boundaries and become force multipliers. They have undergone trainings on rescue conducted by the DRRM, and their increased level of awareness capacitates them to handle accidents or disasters.
Nagjujuto po kami sa mga checkpoint. Kung mga galing po outside po dito sa Kamsor, kukunbuyan po namin papuntang triads.
Linggo-linggo may natanggap kaming parang sweldo na binibigay na galing sa LGU.
Dahil sa community quarantine guidelines na inisyu ng national government tungkol sa minimum health standards, tumaas ang transportation cost. iRide was launched. iRide addressed two pressing concerns. First, it gave livelihood to the most vulnerable sector of the society, the transportation sector. And second, it provided free shuttle service to all essential and non-essential workers in the city. It is still ongoing, following its daily schedules via 3 routes. A breakthrough project para sa manggagawang Irigenyo.
Salamat na mo kading shuttle.
Maski nga na ang empleyado nagsasabing kung ano daaday mo na paghalion tadakulong tabang sa indang pag pamasay sa inda sa pang-oral daw.
Another project that I am so proud of is the creation of the iPatrol Special Task Force, which simply means Iriga people advocates of tight regulations and obedience to law. During the COVID-19 operations, the iPatrol conducted price monitoring and anti-hoarding in coordination with the Department of Trade and Industry and the National Bureau of Investigation. Sila din ay inatasan na sitahin ang mga lumalabag sa city ordinance na may kinalaman sa hindi pagsuot ng face mask at di pagsunod sa pinagpapatupad na physical or social distancing, ang pagbabawal ng pagdura sa mga pampublikong lugar. Education was hampered. Nowhere would you see school children running towards the school gate, nor see teachers energetically conducting lesson in front of 30+ students. Kaya minarapat namin na bigyan ng pagpapahalaga ang suliraning ito. We implemented a program called Tulong Dunong Enhanced Learning Environment for Low Performers, which aims to increase the passing rate of grade 7 students through multimedia-based reading programs. A MOA was signed with the Department of Education and the procurement of facilities, equipment, tools, and other materials for senior high school.
Malaki na itulong ng LGU ng Iriga, lalo na sa reproduction ng modules. Kasi nag-allocate ng 7 million para, dati 5 million lang, dinagdagan ng 2 million para ma-cover yung 3rd and 4th weeks ng first quarter. Hindi na yung kinuha sa MOE ng mga eskwelahan.
Namamahagi kami ng instructional materials and learning modules sa tulong ng DepEd. Namigay ng generators, USB recorders, hired para teachers who happens to be education graduates but were not licensed teachers to assist our actual school teachers. All these were funded by the Special Education Fund, approved of course by the local school board. Edukasyon para sa lahat.
Malaki ang naging papel ng kabataang Irigenyo sa pagsugpo at paglaban sa COVID-19. Nariyan ang mga adaptive and innovative projects kagaya po ng Project E-Eskwela, libreng paggamit ng laptop at Wi-Fi. Nagkaroon din ang kabataan ng bloodletting activity, donation drive sa mga affected residents during the typhoon.
In spite of the government warnings to stay at home and practice social distancing, some were still obdurate. They managed to do leisure camping, specifically at Iriga's Mount Asog. The City Tourism's Mountain Warriors vigilantly checks the campsites and its entry points.
Meron kaming mga license or accredited tourist guide. Ang components po ng Iriga Bugtun Mountaineering Group, mga IPs or indigenous peoples or tinatawag po namin nila local term na agta. Para po maiwasan yung pagtaas po doon unless hindi po siya kung agricultural activity.
Ako po si Rodel Malto, isang mountain warrior sa Dipo Iriga. Pakasweldo po ako na sweldo kami. Amo na pinagpakaray ko man po. Sinta po na pinakal ko man po sa palo. Adi po amo po. Dakulong tabang po ni Romanel po na tinawan po kami sa trabaho na arbukan.
Yung aking bahay na durog. Wala kaming bahay.
Here comes the most debilitating occurrence here in Iriga City. The city was visited by 3 super typhoons, namely Kinta, Rolly, and Ulysses. Continuous heavy rains and strong winds ruined most houses made of light materials in all barangays of Iriga City. Lowland barangays experienced heavy flooding.
May bagyo na pong parating sa amin. Lahat po ng kagamitan namin, itinataas namin sa mga lalagyan na hindi kayang abutin ng tubig. Nitong Rolly, masyado pong malakas yung tubig. DRRMC po, tinulungan po kami na yung mga bata po, in-evacuate na po sa barangay hall. Tapos po, tumulong na din po sila na yung iba naming gamit, ikataas na din po.
Sa kasalukuyan po, nandito po kami sa Barangay Perpetual Help. Nasa paanan po kami ng bundok, Mount Iriga. This has been a problem ever since. Meron pong, we created an impoundment, a water impoundment, but still yung mga boulders and debris, they still go down at napupuno po yung impoundment. Diretso po ang boulders dito, diretso po pababa. We were able to talk to all the households here na medyo mahirap po talaga ang situation nila. And they know for a fact that vulnerable ang area nila. So every time that we ask them to evacuate, they really have to evacuate. So this is now my most challenging predicament. How are we going to implement the 4 thematic areas of disaster risk reduction management? Preparedness, mitigation, response, and recovery. It seems too much to handle, but as they say, every city needs to act immediately, and we did just that. Good thing we already have a sound analysis of disaster risk and have good linkages with early warning systems. We also have contingency plans and have stockpiled equipment and supplies. Arrangements for coordination, evacuation, and public information were also instituted. To minimize the adverse impacts of hazards and related disasters, the city institutionalized mitigation measures encompassing engineering techniques and hazard-resistant construction, as well as environmental policies. The provision of emergency assistance during and after a disaster is a major component of the city's response. Preemptive and forced evacuation is being enforced by the CDRRMO because nothing is more valuable than the life of every single Irigenyo. It was challenging because evacuations should be done while still considering social or physical distancing.
Sa ngayon po, nag-allot po talaga tayo ng 2 days para sa preemptive kasi po syempre per family, isang sakayan, 1 family, 1 room. Inopen lahat ng ating mga church, yung ating mga business establishment, mga warehouses po. And yung iba naman po na family na meron po silang kapamilya na resilient po ang kanilang bahay. So, in-accommodate nila, LSIs, yung mga naka-quarantine. Kaya hindi po talaga natin sila hinahalo, mga identified direct contact natin. Actually, mga naka-hotel. Bawasan po natin ang response and rehabilitation. Palakasin po natin ang ating preparedness.
Na-lockdown ang opisina ko po nang dahil sa nag-positive ako, kasama po ang 2 kong staff. Nung matatapos na ako ng isolation ko, nandito naman yung threat ni Quinta. Ang ginawa ko po, may radyo lang ako. So maganda po dito si Iriga kasi yung support system para kaming magkakapamilya.
Proudly, the city reported 0 casualty during and after the typhoons. Ganun po kahirap at kabigat ang disaster risk reduction management. Dapat lahat pagtuunan ng pansin, walang mapapabayaan at walang maiiwan. Amidst all these doleful occurrences, Iriga City is always directed towards recovering. Sabi nga nila, ano man ang mangyari, babangon at susulong tayo. Executive Order Number 26, an order strengthening and reconstituting the different committees under the City Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council of Iriga City. Bumuo kami ng mga komitiba na mamamahala sa iba't ibang aspeto ng disaster risk management.
Pag nag-order na po ang LGU na kaipuhan, na lumikas na, so yaon po kita dyan, permi na mag-assist sa inda po.
The Committee on Prevention and Mitigation, what the Engineering Office do, we make it a point na ready na yung aming mga bridges, the drainage is clean. We have series of trainings. The community, alam nila ano ang gagawin. Kailangan mag-prepare ng mga ibalde. The reliefs are ready. Yung team na mamimigay, nandyan agad sila. Tapos na ang bagyo, nasa labas na kami to respond, to check kung ano ba ang damage. Before the day end, ready na kami for the submission.
Itong City of Iriga, isa sa mga award din ng Seal of Good Local Governance because disaster preparedness is one of the component or area na ini-evaluate. Wala tayong problema itong ang Iriga City among the local government units dito sa province of Camarines Sur. Siya ito sa mga Gawad Kalasag Award.
We identified priority PPAs in the Iriga City Disaster Rehabilitation Plan, which includes immediate assistance to farmers through farm implements, inputs, machineries, and food or cash for works assistance. For our industrious farmers, we will assist, regulate, shifting to agroforestation, salt, buffer strip, farming in production areas. Pangangalagaan natin ang ating kapaligiran sa pamamagitan ng rainforestation, installation of anti-soil erosion technology, strict implementation of waterways easement of Mount Iriga gullies and river system, prohibiting establishment of habitable structure along the flash flood-prone area, construction of water impounding dam and open drainage canal, gabions, or slope protection, construction of bridges, wattlings, which is an organic-based slope protection which prevents soil erosion, and flood control facilities along discharge waterways from Mount Iriga Central Business District and flood-prone barangay. The resilience of the Irigeños has been tested time and time, but we did not yield. We remain positive because we are fighters. Kailangan lang tandaan na hindi nakukuha ang tagumpay sa isang tulog lang. Lahat ng bagay pinaghihirapan at pinagtsatsagaan. LGU Iriga will never cease to come up with ways and means to combat the adverse effects of the COVID-19 pandemic and every disaster that is bound to come. Due to the trust and confidence, our poverty incidence went down from 39% to 17%. Unemployment rate from 37% to 7%. Our ERA is 650 million pesos. Our local revenue is 130 million pesos. And our asset, which is usually the basis for borrowing capacity, is 1.5 billion already. We are SGLG awardee, Seal of Good Financial Housekeeping, and other awards bestowed upon us by the national government agencies and international as well. Now we have our own city hall. All economic enterprises are earning. ICT building, gymnasium, dialysis center, expansion of the slaughterhouse, solid waste management compliant, City Health Annex 2 will be serving our people in the mountain area, ongoing construction of the Iriga Amusement Park, and also our Level 1 hospital. All this cannot be done alone. You, us, we have a role to play. Together, we will heal as one. This is our city. I was born here, I was raised here, I grew up here, and this is where my heart belongs.